I'm Commissioner Christy McCormick with the U.S. Election Assistance Commission. May is Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. And as part of EAC's recognition of this month, I have the pleasure of interviewing Maria I.D. Pangilinan, Executive Director of the Guam Election Commission. Thank you for speaking to us today, Maria.
Siduos Masi, Christy. In Chamorro, that means thank you.
Uh,
And a big privilege to be here with you.
Well, thank you so much. I'm going to start off the questions with asking you, can you talk about your background and how you got your start in elections?
Well, I didn't grow up wishing to be in elections. I grew up in a family with 15 children right here on Guam, 210 square miles, surrounded by the Pacific Ocean. One mother, one father. When I was in my early 20s, I left Guam to go to America. Lived in Los Angeles for 10 years. Came back with a master's degree from California State University. Worked for the university for umpteen years as an instructor, and then worked for the legislature for 2. At the legislature, right after a contentious 2010 election, I was asked if I wanted to interview for the position. And that's how I got here. And when I got here, I was trying to decide whether to stay or not. Here I am 10 years later. Thank you.
Well, you said you went to America, but Guam is actually part of America, right?
Yes, and Christy, Guam is where America's Day begins.
Right.
It is 8 o'clock in the morning, Wednesday, May 15th.
And it's May, what is it? I'm the day before you are.
Sorry, May 19th. Yeah, it's May 19th here, so you're May 18th there.
That's right, and it's 6 something in the evening here, so yeah, that's right. So you all are a day ahead of us. What's it like in the future?
That's a good one. What's it like in the future? I've been here 10 years. I'm in my 60s, I'm proud to say. And people are asking me, when am I going to retire? I don't think I'll ever retire, but with the pandemic, with the current pandemic environment, there's a lot more challenges to take on. With the staff of 13 right now, it's still fantastic. I'm still learning.
So tell me about the communities on Guam and how you ensure that all the communities there are able to participate in the voting process.
So Guam is made up of 19 villages. And so through our stakeholders, our village mayors reach out to the villages. The villagers, they have direct access to the villagers. Our political parties, also we reach out to them, and we have great media partners. Our media partners are with us from the beginning of the election cycle, even after the end. So we were able to do it inside. I think we do a good job here reaching them. We need to do a better job with reaching our young voters. Yeah. So we're working on that. We're going to work through the schools. Again, we're going to continue to work through the schools.
Yeah. Have you made changes in how you recruit poll workers and get those communities involved in the process? You have 19 different villages.
Right.
You're pretty spread out.
Yeah. Christy, our demographics for our poll workers are a lot different than the rest of our election jurisdictions across the nation. We have young poll workers. Our average age is closer to 30. So we have them. We have our regulars that come back. Maybe 20% of them come back. But have we changed it? we get more involvement with the mayors now. So with that said, we still have challenges recruiting them up. We want to recruit them early on, but we still have to do some at the very last minute.
So how many do you have to recruit?
335. So we have 67 precincts in our 19 villages. Each precinct is precinct officials. We try to do 2 and 3, so it'd be 3 from the Republicans, or 2 from or 3 from the um, Democrats on a staggered basis.
Mhm. So what are some of the common challenges you've faced as an election official, and how have you overcome those?
Okay, probably common across all election jurisdictions is, our funding source. That's probably most common, but I have to give kudos to both our administration and our legislature. Our legislature, by the way, we have one of the few unicameral legislatures. So we have 15 senators, and they've been really thoroughly supportive of our election processes. Um, the other challenge probably is that it's a small community, so we're all related. And so sometimes, once in a while, we don't catch it where somebody's not qualified because of the relations. And that then I feel bad, but it's part of the process. So we have to boot them up. And we go from there. We're still working on getting a really good training for our poll workers. This past election, because of the pandemic, we did make training videos. So they're using that now. So we'll see. And that's one step ahead for us here on Guam.
So since you are an island, is it difficult to get materials, machines, and things like that? Do you have to fly everything in?
Yes, we have to fly everything in. The magic word is redundancy.
Yeah.
If we needed one machine, we would get two. If we needed 3 machines, we would make sure we have at least 2 extra. And even in this, even as isolated as we are, um, you're right, we fly everything in. We partner with as many as we can. We partner with our neighbors to our north, the Northern Mariana Islands. They're a half-hour plane ride away. So we work very closely with each other. By the way, Commissioner Christie, you're a female commissioner. I'm a female election director here on Guam.
Mhm.
I'm very proud to say that in Saipan, in the Northern Mariana Islands, we also have a female director. And kudos to the Virgin Islands, Caroline Fox. She's our election supervisor down up there in Virgin Islands.
Yeah. So there's quite a few of us, right? At least a growing number anyway.
Yes, ma'am.
So what are some things that people who are not familiar with the territories should know about elections in territories in your jurisdiction particularly?
So we're very small, and we have where there's in most election jurisdictions there's a state and a county and a city. Here on Guam, we're one. Uh, we uh, we take on the responsibility, the equivalent responsibilities of a state office, a county office, and a city office. We do voter registration. We handle it, from the bottom to the top. We also do we run the elections. We actually go out and set up the polls. And On top of that, I think I want to say that being a small population base, we participate probably more than the average election jurisdiction. We have high voter turnout compared to the rest of the nation. I don't know, this pandemic, uh, I was telling my staff, I go, I'm gonna go down as the least voter participation, but we went back on the books, and there was one time where it was a little lower. Also, I think, Commissioner Christie, because we are territories, we do not vote for president. So in the election industry, people talk about absentee voters, people talk about military voters, our UOCAVA voters. We have minimal, because where our soldiers are stationed in America, they would rather, most of them, I think, would rather register in the state they're at so that they can vote for president. So where we have, just raw numbers, CNMI has about,
And yeah,
2,000 absentee voters. We only have 300 some off-island voters.
interesting. And you have big military installations there.
Yes, we do. We have big military installations here, Commissioner Christie. Right now, Guam is experiencing the influx of the Marines. Next month, we're going to have 7,000 soldiers here for some military training. Uh, um, and in the CNMI, they also share that same environment where the U.S. military are there. And I think one thing I want to bring up, Guam is probably the most nationalistic in terms of number of soldiers per capita.
Wow. And are you able to work with the voting officers on those military installations?
Not really. Probably our most consistent contact is with our National Guard. They tend to be deployed, so we work with them during the election cycle. In 2018, CNMI went through a major typhoon where everything was down. So our Guam National Guard were deployed there. We had Power Authority workers deployed there. So Commissioner Christie, we also deployed our election workers to go help over there.
Well, that's great.
And also, yeah, and also for our election here, we had to send our staff and our one commissioner over to let our people who were deployed there vote. So we were able to do that in 2018.
Well, that's, of great interest to us. We've been doing some research on, carrying out elections in disasters or after disasters, and would love to hear more about that experience at some point, because it's important for people to know how to react, how to deal with those disasters. And, typhoons are out there. We don't think about that on mainland United States. We have hurricanes and we have tornadoes and earthquakes and fires in some places. I mean, typhoons are the same thing, I guess, as a hurricane. Is that right?
Yes, it is. But
Okay.
here, being isolated, it takes much longer to
Yeah.
get it back up.
Yeah, very interesting. So let me ask you this: what does Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month mean to you?
So, as I read how it came about, Asian Americans, they celebrated in May because of the Japanese that came in to build the railroad. Well, as a Pacific Islander, my parents were in World War II, and Guam was Hawaii was affected with just Pearl Harbor. The
Right.
whole of Guam, all 210 square miles of Guam were totally demolished. And, we heard stories about the war. We heard about, we firsthand, parents telling us about their experiences here on Guam. So Pacific Islanders, we tend to be very loyal. And so we model that in all of our activities with the United States.
So you say the United States, for those of us who are ignorant of Guam's history, when did Guam become a territory of the United States?
Um, After in 1898,
Wow.
after the Spanish-American War, Guam was ceded to the United States. By the way, we were discovered by Ferdinand Magellan in 1521. We
Wow.
have one of the oldest languages around the world. We have a bunch of different languages. I think we have, across Micronesia. Guam is part of Micronesia. So with that said, as a Pacific Islander, we have quite a bit to offer to the rest of the world, and we do offer it to the rest of the world. We have Chamorros, that's the native people of Guam, all over the world. We have doctors, nurses, pilots, all over. And I guess one of the things back in 1950, in the 50s, Commissioner Christie, after the war, our parents wanted to join the military, but because we were only a territory, and before 1950 we were not US citizens, so they were allowed to join the military, mostly the Navy, but they could only be stewards. So we have parents that are excellent cooks.
Well,
And that's what
having been to Guam, I can say that the food is excellent on Guam.
Hey, we were featured as a food truck in Oregon. We have a Chamorro food truck in Oregon
Wow.
that Commissioner Christie, that serves the chicken Kelligren.
Oh, yum. That's delicious. So let me ask you, when people vote on Guam, do they vote in English or in Chamorro?
Most of us, the ballot is presented in both English and Chamorro. I grew up speaking Chamorro, so English is my second language. And and the big thing is, do I think in Chamorro or do I think in English? I think in Chamorro. That's what I grew up with. But most of our folks go down the English.
They vote on the English side of the ballot?
Yes, there's currently a resurgence of learning the Chamorro language, so we're right there, and we don't want to lose it, so we're working hard on not losing the Chamorro language.
Yeah, people think about, ballots in other languages, but they don't normally think about these Pacific Islander languages that you have to do the ballot in. So there's some challenges there, I'm sure, with the translations and how you present it on the ballot. So,
well, lucky for the Guam Election Commission, I speak fluent Chamorro and write fluent Chamorro, and there's not many of us. So, but we do get the assistance of the Commission on Chamorro Language, and we do contract out just to make sure it's non-biased, our Chamorro, the Chamorro part of our ballot.
So interesting. So what's next for the Guam Election Commission?
Well, being one of the things is we're trying to create in-house professionals. And one of the things is, and believe it or not, we almost already print our ballots in-house. So we're getting there. Where we can, just be able to print our ballots by ourselves. One of our 13 guys is really cool at it, and is learning, using all the new technology and helping with that. It was a great experience. The pandemic is really bad, but there were some good parts to it where we learned a lot. about how to operate. So we're doing that. For the first time in history, two of our staff are certified election administrators, and
Sarah?
we will,
Mhm.
Sarah, yeah, so we will have probably one more before the next election cycle, and we hope to have at least one out in CNMI. We continue to grow with them. We want them to grow as well. And maybe, Commissioner Christie, it's for a selfish reason, because if we have excellent professionals, election professionals in CNMI, it's good for Guam too.
Sure, yeah. It's a, close relationship between those two territories and an important one. So, well, thank you so much, Maria, for joining me today or tomorrow, as you are tomorrow, uh, for Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. I learned a lot today, and I hope others do too. And I would love to talk to you more about your disaster activities and everything that's going on Guam. So thank you so much for being with us.
Oh, thank you for the privilege, Commissioner Christie.
Great to see you again.